whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people. Whose car are we gonna take?
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining the Nikki Medoro Show live on YouTube every single day. I appreciate all of you being here. Great show coming up. We will, of course, get into Raphael Warnock's win, proving that this country has not gone to hell in a handbasket, and at least we have some semblance of sanity, a little bit. I know not a lot. I'm not putting all the eggs in. We've got our S together just yet, but thank God that didn't happen, right? Okay, so we'll touch on that. We will touch a little bit on politics, what this win for the Democratic Party means. You know, we have a little bit more of an edge in the Senate, but of course we don't have control of the House, so that sucks. There is this headline that I feel is not getting enough attention, and that is this search for classified documents, our national security secrets. It's gone beyond Mar-a-Lago. It was even the former president himself and his lawyer saying, you know, you should probably look over here and maybe look over here to prove that there weren't other documents any other place. This is concerning, the fact that these things might be spread out in other locations. I don't think it's getting enough attention, so we'll touch on that. I will briefly, very briefly, touch on the situation with Senator Ted Cruz's daughter. I will preface it by saying my heart goes out to any parent who's going through something like this. Politics aside, nobody wants something like this to happen to somebody. Although I will say I'm quite disappointed in other people who feel the opposite, that just can't help themselves and bring politics into it. And that's really, really sad. Because there's other things you bring completely on yourself. And one person I'm talking about in that case is the Colorado graphic artist who is playing a violin for herself, even though she literally created the situation in which she is in. We'll get into Elon Musk. His no good, very bad day, week, month continues. And he's basically, from what I understand, turning Twitter, Elon Musk is turning Twitter into a nasty ass dorm room. So I don't know what's going on in there. I wouldn't want to step 2 feet in there. Apparently some people are not allowed to go in there, even though they're supposed to. So we'll get into the janitor strike that's going on. And here's a question for you. You know the whole saying, you know, what would Jesus do? What would God do when it comes to affordable housing and housing the homeless? Because apparently there's a new acronym we all need to learn, and it's YIGBY. YIGBY. Yes, in God's backyard. Apparently it's happening in San Francisco. Hopefully, I will say this, but you can let me know in the live chat if you agree with it. Because if there's anywhere that the homeless should be housed, it's of course at God's house, right? Then we'll get into some celebrity news. Did you watch the People's Choice Award? The People's Champion was announced, and she rocked it with her speech by basically saying, I don't deserve this award. And who she gave the award to was literally iconic. And then we have to talk about nipples. Are nipples okay now? And I'm not joking here. Did we cross a line where on prime time television we can see women's nipples and nobody's clutching their pearls? Because it happened. It happened during the People's Choice Award. Now they're trying to say that these nipples were blurred out. I saw them live. I watched the People's Choice Award last night, and I was like, her nipples are hanging out. And apparently nobody cares. I don't care. Let all the nipples out. I don't care at all. But you tell me what's changed, and does it matter whose nipples they were? or what color those nipples were, which you couldn't really tell what color the nipples actually were, but we'll get into nipple talk in the second hour of the show. We'll also touch on Time Magazine's Person of the Year and popular shows that weren't even made that long ago. Could they even survive in 2022? I would be remiss if not to take a moment to honor the people who lost their lives, 81 years ago today at the attack on Pearl Harbor. There was a commemoration in Hawaii, of course, today. Only a handful, I guess, of these survivors who are, I think the youngest, I had the age. The youngest would be 98 today. Many of those still alive are at least 100. And it was, 81 years ago today, about 2,400 servicemen killed in the attack on Pearl Harbor. And that, of course, launched the United States into World War II. So it is a day that we need to remember. And so I wanted to take a moment right at the front of the show to do that. Okay, but let's get into some politics. Oh, actually, let's do some business. What am I talking about? Okay, we have to do our stretches. My son, funny story as we do our stretches, because we have to stretch our fingers. And why are we stretching our fingers? Because we have to hit that thumbs up, click it just once. So I came home the other day, and you parents, you'll feel me on this, with the exercising and everything. I come in and my son's in his bedroom. His cheeks are all flushed. Now he's 11. So my mom was like, what the hell are you doing in your bedroom? And it wasn't like that, nasty people. He's like working out on his own. He's doing like 6-minute planks. He's doing arm exercises. So I got a little gym rat, I think, in the works with my son. But you don't have to do all those exercises. All you have to do right now is click the thumbs up right underneath the video. I'm not quite sure if it looks different on your phone. I've had some people reach out to me say they either can't see the thumbs up, or they can't see the live chat, or they can't see what else is live, which is the super chat function. It's a $sign. So I don't know if you aren't signed in to your Google account. So you need to be signed in every time you listen to the show. And that way you can donate to our super live chat, super thanks, super sticker. I'll read your comments. I'll give you shouts out during the show. And you can throw whatever dollar amount you want. And it's an awesome way to keep the money and the revenue flowing into the Nikki Medoro Show. And then hands down, the best way to support the show is to become a monthly subscriber. I just had somebody today donate, subscribe for $20. You get to decide how much you want to subscribe for. So that's the freedom that you have. And it brings in consistent money for the Nikki Medoro Show, which we really appreciate. So if you look on your screen, you will see the website, thenikkimedoroshow.com. And there's a link to the Patreon where you can simply just sign up. And, I'll be honest, you can also cancel it if you can't afford it. If I'm not doing it for you, which I can't imagine how I'm not, but, it's up to you. And we appreciate every single amount you guys donate. So again, thenikkimedoroshow.com, a link to our Patreon. And then again, the most important thing is to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We want to grow people. We want to grow in the new year. We want to do amazing things. It's been less than 2 months that I've been doing the show, and I'm learning so much. I have new videos on, clips of the show, shorter clips of the show that you could share with your friends if you want to give them a taste of some of the crazy ass conversations that we have on this show. So I really appreciate it. And so click that thumbs up and let's get this show going, shall we? All right, so who is saying going, whew, that Raphael Warnock won? I mean, the fact that it was so close bothers me. Okay, so 51.4% for Warnock, 48.6% for Walker. I mean, it was a win. But the fact that 1.7 million people, 1.7 million Georgians looked at their ballot and said, yeah, that guy over Warnock boggles my mind. So let's hear a few of the speeches. Let's start with the winner, of course. Here is Raphael Warnock.
And after a hard-fought campaign,
Shouldn't have been that hard. Should not have been that hard.
or should I say campaigns, it is my honor to utter the four most powerful words ever spoken in a democracy.
Hey, man.
The people have spoken.
Thank God. Thank God. I mean, honestly, yes, he won, but way more than enough to win. There's no question. And you'll hear from Herschel Walker in just a moment with his concession speech. But God, the fact that it was this close, Herschel Walker, come on, Georgia. I just don't get it. I really, really don't. All right, let's play. To be fair, let's play the Warnock speech, which at first, before the results had really been announced, I was questioning whether or not Herschel Walker was gonna concede at all. Let's welcome Kim McAllister to the show. We just played Raphael Warnock's acceptance speech.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to play you Walker's concession speech, but somebody had interviewed him before the results were announced and was like, well, if the votes aren't in your favor, are you going to concede? And he just walked away without saying anything. And I was like, oh, please
Not
don't
again.
make this. I mean, we don't need another Trump. We don't need another Carrie Lake. We don't need any of that nonsense. But
Right.
here is what Herschel Walker said after he realized that he hadn't won.
So I want to thank all of you as well, because there's no excuses in life. And I'm not going to make any excuses now, because we put up one heck of a fight. And I said, that's what we got to do, because this is much bigger. This is much bigger than Herschel Walker. And I told someone this the other day. I said, you guys, I've done a lot of stuff. You talk about Heisman Trophy, you talk about all the athletic awards, business awards I won. But the best thing I've ever done in my whole entire life is run for the Senate seat right here. And the reason I'm going to say that is I got a chance to meet all you and to hear what you guys feel about this country. And I got a chance for you guys to tell me what you feel about this country. I got a chance to go into your homes, got a chance that you invested in Herschel Walker. And I thank you. And I thank you so much. And as I said, we can't blame no one, because I want you to continue to believe in this country, believe in our elected officials, and most of all, stay together. Don't let anyone separate you.
I will say it was a decent concession speech. It wasn't filled with any sort of nonsense about election fraud or anything like that. But again, Kim, I was saying it was way too, yes, the turnout wasn't as high as I think they were anticipating. But, the fact that so many Georgians, 1.7 million, more than that, voted for Herschel Walker says something about, and I think somebody was saying in the chat room, they just don't like Democrats. Here it was from David. Just remember, the Republican people in Georgia don't want Democrats in their life. There is something we just don't seem to understand as Californians, maybe as people that live in the Bay Area, about states and areas like Georgia, because to me, there was no question.
It was shocking that it was even close, right?
Exactly. And I don't understand. I just don't understand why people thought he was a good choice for a U.S. senator. Okay, you want to make him even like mayor, even though I think more politics, the local politics is what impacts you the most. But still, it's just, you're going to make Herschel Walker all of a sudden U.S. senator. Crazy. Walnut Creek adult softball writes in, if that man who made the concession speech ran, it might have been way tighter. Possibly. I'm wondering also if he was done. I think that he was in the machine and there was I think a total puppet for the Republican Party. Oh yeah, he didn't congratulate Warnock, which, all right. We could be nitpicky, right, about the concession speech. I'm just happy there was no conspiracy theory in it. Let's count our blessings there. Did you see his son Christian's reaction? Now you'll remember his son Christian really came out towards the end of the campaign against his father. He, let me see if I could share this so you guys can read it, because, it's tough to be a child of a politician. And later on, we'll get into the tragedy, and it's not a tragedy. She's okay, apparently, but with Ted Cruz's daughter, but it's not easy. So Christian Walker, Herschel Walker's son, said, don't beat women, hold guns to people's heads, fund abortions, then pretend you're pro-life, stalk cheerleaders, Leave your multiple minor children alone to chase more fame. Lie, lie, lie. Say stupid crap and make a fool of your family. And then maybe you can win a Senate seat. And then Christian Walker goes on to say, don't compare Warnock running over his wife's foot to my father holding guns and knives to my mother's throat, threatening to kill his therapist, her and one of his adulteresses in a therapy session, and telling my mom and I he was going to beat our asses. Get off my page. So strong words from the son of Herschel Walker. And I think that if I was the child of a controversial politician or any well-known politician, it has to be difficult. It really does, to be in the public eye, to know that, let's say, just half the country doesn't like your parent because of their politics. It's got to be tough. Tanya chats in, interesting that Herschel thought his number one thing in life was running for office, not being a great father and husband, because he wasn't. Exactly. And it does go to show, I mean, he didn't hear him thanking anyone in his family. At least I didn't in the clip that I saw. I didn't watch his entire concession speech. That was just the clip that I pulled. But now we need a more, now we need to turn the page. So we have Georgia. The Democrats have 51 seats instead of the even split, which is good, although we don't have the House. And so how much can we really do? How much more of President Biden's agenda can we do? Now, we don't need party unity. Remember Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema, because it's not such an even split. I mean, it's just a little bit of breathing room. It's not a lot. But we'll see. I do think this sends even a stronger message to Trump supporters. Like, he is not Midas, right? Everything he's touching is turning to crap. So maybe it's time to just let him go off into the Florida sunset and go away. I hope so. Oh, Lori writes to Nick, I guess my expectations were so low. The fact he actually conceded the same night and he told people to keep voting and keep faith in the system impressed me. Yeah, Lori, I agree. That's exactly the point I was making too. It's not much. Our bar is really low because of what we've been through in recent years. But the fact that we have somebody that went through a runoff and then just accepted the results and we can move on, huge. It's huge. Yeah, sad for Georgia, sad for the nation that even got on the ballot in so many votes. I agree. But this is where we are right now. I hope, because he lost, the Ted Cruzes and the Kevin McCarthy's and the Mitch McConnells and all these GOP leaders start really looking around and find qualified candidates. Find qualified candidates that will not take a page of the current GOP book, which is just to complain and obstruct. Come up with ideas. Convince Democrats. Work with Democrats. Understand and look at what the American people actually want and are calling for, instead of, ginning up fear, animosity, conspiracy over things that they don't even give two craps about, right? I mean, there's issues. I understand there's country, national issues that we have to deal with, but there's also the small things, the everyday step out my door problems that need to be addressed. And it doesn't seem like these politicians want to deal with any of those. What they want to do is just point the fingers and argue and bicker. And I'm tired of it. We're not going to get anything done if we keep that up. We're just not.
Well, now we have a Republican House and a Democratic Senate. I don't think we're going to see this end of fighting anytime soon.
Well, yeah, but I guess this is the Pollyanna in me. I hope we do, simply because the old way didn't work for Republicans. So they could keep doing what they were doing, but even with the high inflation, right? Even with all of these things, the Republicans did not get their red wave. So they need to heed the message of the American people. It's like, stop already. We're exhausted.
Well, they're not listening. You saw even yesterday when it looks like a deal will be struck for funding, just to keep the government running. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Kevin McCarthy said, don't make a deal with the Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
We're about to take control of the House. We can get more of what we want if you don't make that deal right now. So he's trying to kind of throw a wrench in the wheels of government so that he can, get more Republican issues dealt with and deals made. It's time to start doing the business of the country instead of your little side issues.
Well, and Kevin McCarthy does not have the speakership in the bag. So go ahead, keep it up, Kevin. You may not be convincing, Democrats to work with you or even Republicans. And I was listening this morning, there's nothing to say that the Speaker of the House has to be a member of Congress. Remember, there was the whole fear that Republicans were going to make Trump the Speaker. It does not have to be Kevin McCarthy. So, Kevin, you can continue to play the same nonsense game that you've been playing, but you have a faction of the GOP that just does not like you and will never vote for you. And then you're going out with this message that you want to shut down the government instead of making a deal that most Americans may support. You're the problem. You're the problem with politics in this country. And I don't think he should be speaker. I cannot stand the guy. He's all for himself and not for the country. And he can kick rocks for all I care. Now, the January 6th committee is another thing that will likely be sacrificed once Republicans take control of the House. They're not going to continue that. Even though I played you that sound of Ken Sicknick, Brian Sicknick's brother, at that congressional gold medal ceremony where they shunned Mitch McConnell, praising people like Liz Cheney, putting country before party and all those sorts of things, but they don't care. I doubt that the Republicans will have the backbone to continue the work of the January 6th committee. Now, the committee has decided to make criminal referrals, but it doesn't mean anything. The Department of Justice doesn't need it. They don't have the power to prosecute anybody. But they see this as part of the work of the committee, putting their views on the record in order to complete their investigation. They say it's not to pressure the Department of Justice, but I would be shocked if charges don't come, if Merrick Garland does not file any sort of charges in relation to what led to January 6th. But we'll just have to see if Trump is directly implicated in it, as I believe he should be. Now, did you see this headline, Kim? Because I just don't believe it's getting enough attention. So Trump's own lawyers have reportedly hired a team to search not just Mar-a-Lago, but other Trump properties for classified documents.
Yeah, because, he took so many, can't remember where he put them all.
So what I'm hearing these people say, including Trump, who apparently requested this, okay? What I'm hearing you say is you have so many documents, you've lost track, and you've scattered them. Like, why are you scattering them? What was your end game, Trump? So apparently his legal team put the searches together after being asked to attest before a judge that absolutely all classified materials and documents related to the investigation had been turned over. Now, a spokesman for the former president told the Washington Post that the former president has remained cooperative in what he describes as a political witch hunt. He needs new keywords, I swear to God. The guy says Trump and his counsel continue to be cooperative and transparent, right? The spokesperson also accused the DOJ of an unwanted attack on the former president. And the team hired by Trump's lawyers reportedly came up with no new classified documents. But the fact that we had to look beyond where we already knew they were says so much about what the former president has been doing. And why is there not more outrage? Where are all of you Trump supporters that wanted to lock Hillary up? It's crickets. It is so hypocritical. Not that I thought that they should have locked Hillary Clinton up, but if you were so concerned about national security, why the hell aren't you outraged about this? Let me think. It's because you didn't give a crap about it in the first place. All you did was hate Hillary Clinton. That was it. And again, to go back to what I was talking about at the beginning, the Republican Party loves to gin up fear and controversy and scandal where there is none, to distract you from the fact that they have zero good ideas to get this country's problem solved. They point the finger, they point out the problem and have no good solutions. Come to me with something. And the Democratic Party should work with them, but they don't. They have no good ideas, and it's so tiring, to say the very least. It's
I want to see
very tiring.
where these documents are going to turn up next.
I know. Who knows? Maybe in the toilet. I mean, maybe they should check the magazine rack right next to Donald Trump's gold toilet, and maybe he just has them right in there. Maybe he's wiping his ass with them. I have zero idea.
I don't know how many homes he has, but he has a lot of hotels and businesses. I mean, should we go check the golf course at Scotland?
What if he's giving them to people? I mean, hey, you want this? It says classified on it. It's a souvenir. They're mine. He thinks they're his. He's an idiot, Kim. He's an idiot. Yeah. But somebody that I also think is an idiot and a hypocrite, and I don't agree with at all, is of course Senator Ted Cruz. But what I would not do, and the camp I do not include myself in, is those that used the very tragic headline of Cruz's 14-year-old daughter attempting suicide as a way to make a political point. So if you haven't heard, the police and fire department in Houston went to the home of Ted Cruz last night. Apparently, his 14-year-old daughter had self-inflicted stab wounds on her arms. They were in the front of the house when police and fire crews arrived. They say that the daughter's okay. The injuries apparently were not serious. And obviously, they're asking for a privacy to deal with this. And again, I mean, the National Suicide Hotline that we always want to mention when we talk about stories like this, of course, is 988. They made it so simple to remember. But the only thing I want to say about this is it has to be tough to be in politics and to raise children in politics. They always try to say, oh, you should leave the kids out of it. Don't talk about the kids. The media may not talk about the kids, but the media talks about the kids' parents, and then the kids' friends read the headlines about the kids' parents. And I can't imagine what this girl, and I don't know if it has anything to do with her dad. I mean, we don't know what led her to do this, but let's just say it's part of the problem, right? My dad's a high-profile politician. He's very divisive. He's done things that have been highly criticized. I can't handle the pressure, let alone being a teenager in 2022 is tough. With social media, not being able to get away from anything. I mean, when I was a kid, I've mentioned this before. I hated World News Tonight with Peter Jennings because it meant that it was dinner time and I had to stop talking to my friends or whatever. That sound, da, 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 da. Every time I'm like, it's dinner time. And so Peter Jennings and the World News Tonight had this thing in my mind, but it wasn't as if I was sitting there watching the news religiously with my parents. Now, kids nowadays, I mean, don't underestimate how much they know and follow in news and in politics because of smartphones, YouTube, TikTok. I mean, all of these stories that go kind of viral on traditional media make their way to these kids' phones. And if it's your dad or your mom and people are hating on them, personally, I wouldn't be able to probably handle it well at all. And this poor girl, I mean, I'm not saying it has anything to do with her father's politics, but it can't make life easy for a teenager.
As the mom of a 13-year-old girl, I just have to say that regardless of your politics and who you are, my heart goes out to you and your family, to the Cruz family, because I just can't imagine that.
I can't. It's literally the worst nightmare of any parent. And, and again, we don't know all the details and we shouldn't know all the details. It's a private family matter. But if there's ever a moment that I think as human beings, we can just stop for a second, it's when something happens to somebody's child. I don't care who the person is. It's a child. And we want to make sure that they're safe and as much as possible. And, and then there's always the question afterwards, does this make you reevaluate your professional choices? I mean, look at someone and it's different, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi with the attack on her husband. Now, of course, she's not going to be House Speaker anymore. And that may have been her decision before the attack on her husband. But when something happens like that, guaranteed, if you're a human being with blood running through your veins, you're having that moment where you're like, is it worth it? Is what I'm doing worth it? And sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes it's no, but it can't be an easy decision to make. And my heart does go out to the Cruz family and to that young girl. From CR, no one should disparage what's happened to his daughter. But let's not forget how the right responded to the attack on Paul Pelosi, an 81-year-old man. Their ugliness knew no bounds. That doesn't mean that we need to, right, CR? That's I guess just reinforcing my point. We don't need to do what we condemn just because the other side does it. Vilma writes in, while Ted Cruz is trying to make political hay, his own house is burning. Ted, look after the mental health of your family. It must be hard to be a teenage Cruz child. It must be. God, it has to be hard to be any. I mean, look at Eric Swalwell. He has young kids. He's had death threats on himself. I mean, any sort of politician that is making a name for his or herself is going to face probably death threats. But the politics in this country has become so heated, people can't leave it at the door. They just can't. Amy writes in, it's crazy to me about Ted Cruz considering he just blasted naked pictures of Hunter Biden all over his Twitter feed yesterday. What a disgusting man. Yeah. I mean, that's just, again, but I like that you brought up Hunter Biden, because what has President Biden been criticized for? In my opinion, Biden faces criticism over Hunter Biden for treating Hunter Biden as his child, calling him, checking on him, making sure he's okay, having conversations any human being outside of politics would have with a child that has substance abuse issues and is kind of spiraling. So, the Republicans go after President Biden as if he's into whatever Hunter Biden was into. He's a dad who has a troubled child, and he's treating him like that. And so, yeah, it's tough, man. But again, my heart goes out to him. There are things that you just don't wish upon anybody, and who knows what led to that child doing what she did, but hopefully they get it worked out and she becomes okay. And again, the suicide prevention hotline, 988, whether you're a child, whether you're an adult, there is a really easy number, 988, that you can call if you're feeling, despondent or anything, because life's not easy all the time. But there is help out there.
No,
so.
And especially around the holidays, people feel sad or alone.
Exactly.
It's one of the reasons I'm glad that we're here, because I think there's a lot of people that listen to the radio and, we become company for people just to keep you company. And then what happened with Station X meant that was taken away.
Yeah.
So to be here, to be here for each other, I think is valuable as well, especially during this time of year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. Okay, we're going to take a quick break for news. I want to bring up just briefly someone that did bring something on themselves purposely. Apparently, this Colorado web designer says she is terrified. Now, I do not think anybody should threaten the life of anybody else, hands down. But she literally put herself in this situation. And so, while on one hand, it's wrong to threaten somebody's life, hands down, that's it. She threw herself into the middle of something that she knew was a very hot button issue. So we'll touch on that just briefly. And then we got to get into what the hell is Elon Musk doing? Elon Musk's no good, very bad day, week, and month continues as he turns Twitter headquarters into a dorm room. What's being described to me sounds like a dorm room I was in my college years. So we'll talk all about that. The super chat is open. Please click the thumbs up. Now let's take a look at some news.
Now from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Top military officials making the 81st anniversary of the attack, or marking rather the 81st anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Christopher Grady, paid tribute to those who lost their lives in the attack during remarks at World War II Memorial in Washington. He said, "The impossible valor of a few inspired a nation of many to unite against tyranny." He accompanied World War II veterans as they placed wreaths at the Freedom Wall. At least 2 classified documents were found after former President Trump's legal team hired an outside group to search several of his properties for such material. That according to multiple reports, which say the documents were in South Florida. The New York Times reporting Trump's golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, Trump Tower in New York, and a storage area in Florida have been searched in recent weeks. A federal judge directed the Trump team to ensure no classified material was still in the former president's possession. An FBI search of Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in August recovered more than 100 classified documents. The FDA will decide whether to approve Pfizer's RSV vaccine for older adults by next May. The agency accepted the shot in adults 60 and older for an expedited process that took 4 months off the typical timeline. The respiratory virus can be severe in both infants and seniors as well. Still few details after a shooting at a Georgia Walmart. Cobb County Police northwest of Atlanta saying there are several injuries, but it is not an active shooter situation. One Republican senator says questions are being asked about former President Trump's ability to win elections. Speaking to CNN, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina said Trump needs to put together a winning team in early primary states as he once again runs for the White House in 2024. Graham says the former commander-in-chief also needs to convince voters he can win the general election. Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff calling on Americans to reject anti-Semitism. Emhoff led a discussion with the Jewish leaders on fighting anti-Semitism at the White House today. Emhoff, who is the first Jewish person in his position, said the Jewish community is in pain due to the rise of anti-Semitic incidents across the country. And Elon Musk is no longer the richest person in the world. What? That's according to Forbes. They say Bernard Arnault and his family now hold that title. Arnault is the chief executive of luxury brand Louis Vuitton parent company LVMH, and he is the richest man in the world now.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I was reading one article. Tesla has lost more than 47% in value since Musk made his offer to buy Twitter earlier this year. Tesla shares were down 2.7%, but have lost more than 47% in value. And his net worth dropped below 200. I know. I'm not playing a tiny violin guy. Below $200 billion on November 8th. So a month ago. And we'll have more on his very bad week, month. I mean, it's turning out to be a year on Elon Musk coming up. So.
But yet, if you try to buy a Tesla, you still sign up and it's, 6 months, 8 months to wait to get your Tesla. That someone I know recently bought one.
I mean, do you think that that's going to change though? I mean, I think there's a difference between not liking Elon Musk and liking the car, right? So, again, the artist, guy, car, it doesn't
separate
seem
the art from the artist. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, if you really like Teslas and you want an electric car and you like the way it looks and the way it handles, although I've heard, and we've talked about this in recent years, because they deliver the car to you. It's not like a traditional place where you go and you choose the one you want. They send it to you. And it's dirty. Things aren't lined up properly. Like the plastic is off, all the trim's kind of off. So there's a ton of videos that if you look on YouTube of people getting Teslas, and the quality control was a bit lacking. So I'm not saying every time, but there's plenty of people not happy with their Tesla purchase. So
this next story, I don't know if I'm happy about this or disappointed in America.
Oh, okay.
Wordle is Google's top trending search term of the year. Wordle is a popular online game giving players 6 chances to guess a 5-letter word every day. Google Trends said the word beat out search terms such as election results, Ukraine, the late actress Betty White in total U.S. searches. Globally, Wordle led other search terms such as the late Queen Elizabeth, the FIFA World Cup, and convicted serial Jeffrey Dahmer, the game first introduced October of last year. So is what Google Trends saying we care more about Wordle than we do about who won the election?
No,
Really?
What Google is saying, Kim, is when you say the word Wordle, people don't understand what it is. And so they had to search it. And then everyone was talking about it, so they're Googling it. I know who Queen Elizabeth is. I know what FIFA is. I know what elections are. So if I'm searching, what the hell is this Wordle? Like goblin mode. I bet you dollars to for goblin mode, because like I've never heard of this word before. So don't be too disappointed in Americans. I
don't know. I think we need to pay more attention to election results and searching for what those are than we are about Wordle. I don't know.
All right.
This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, Steve's the guy. 888-TAX-DEAL, online at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
There's a lot of people in the chat saying that they would never buy a Tesla. ever. The yoga room of Hampshire writes in, never buy a Tesla. Now I get it. I mean, if you don't support Elon Musk, you don't want to support Elon Musk, right? So if you're buying his product, then you are. Nick writes that there's other options for EVs. You're absolutely correct. Let's get into Elon Musk since we're talking about him. Kim had mentioned right there in her news about how he was no longer the richest man, but he's facing a lot of problems right now, right at the steps of Twitter's headquarters. And first and foremost, it's coming from his janitors. Now, look, we had janitors at Station X, right? I mean, I don't know how much they were paid, but they came every single day and, emptied the trash and took care of stuff as they're supposed to do. Apparently, in addition to firing all kinds of employees, he's not letting these janitors in to do their job. Now, there was one janitor who was being interviewed. Now, this report is from NBC News Bay Area, so I want to give them credit. Her name is Olga Miranda, and this was outside, I think this was either Monday, it might have been Monday, when the janitors were protesting outside of Twitter.
Our cleaning contractor at Twitter was told by Twitter that they are cutting the contract. So we have about 48 families out of work. And it just so happens that it's 3 weeks before Christmas.
It's 3 weeks before Christmas, and this guy is not letting the janitors in. There's some more sound we have of some Twitter employees because these people are just saying, let us do our job, let us get a paycheck.
At a certain point, I was told as a manager that I might get fired if I gather my team just to hear their questions or concerns.
I watched as my laptop shut down at 9 p.m. and all of my access get revoked.
Attorney Lisa Bloom also says Twitter promised severance packages to employees ahead of the Musk takeover.
Yeah, so it does seem that he's getting himself into quite a pickle, not to mention they're investigating the beds. So apparently Elon Musk has created makeshift bedrooms at its headquarters. Elon Musk wants to instill a hardcore culture at the company. A spokesman for the department says they are investigating to make sure the building, this is the Department of Building Inspection, to make sure the building is being used as intended. There are different building code requirements for residential buildings, including those being used for short-term stays. These codes make sure people are using spaces safely. Now, I've heard of people, sleeping at the office, the boss has a couch, you can crash on it. At Station X, we had a room that like overnight people or whatever would crash in sometimes. But I think this is different. I think there's expectation from Elon Musk that you would, look, I'm making you this bedroom. You can stay here around the clock. No, thank you. I would not want to do that at all.
So I would think that it would violate all kinds of work rules. Now, when you have a call room, they call it, in a hospital where you've got physicians on call 24 hours a day, that's different. They can sleep if they want. They don't have to. It depends on what the workload is.
Right.
But that is for a reason. When you are expecting a software developer or programmer or what have you to stay at work and work such long hours that they need to sleep, eat, everything, Twitter.
Yeah.
That to me violates so many. And I know you can do different things with people that are salaried versus hourly. Like the rules are different for overtime and whatever. But I don't think you can legally demand that of people. And so much for work-life balance. And who wants that job?
Nobody.
Who wants to be told you're going to have to leave your family or your pets or whatever else, and you're going to need to sleep here until we get this worked out? Really?
Well, I mean, and the thing is we're not talking, I'm not trying to, diminish the hard work that these people do, but we're not talking about working in an Amazon warehouse. I mean, I would imagine that the people that Elon Musk needs for Twitter are like engineers because he fired all of them, right? I mean, you need people that have a certain skill set, but their skills are in high demand. So if I had my choice between working for this asshat that wants me to sleep there and could fire me willy-nilly, or going to another company that may
Yeah.
better recognize my skills and talents and treat me like a human being, guess what company I'm going to go work for? But
Yeah.
then did you see Musk's response to the criticism? Because, Mayor London Breed, San Francisco Mayor London Breed was criticizing. Look what he writes. He wrote this on Twitter. So, City of San Francisco attacks companies providing beds for tired employees instead of making sure kids are safe from fentanyl. Where are your priorities, London Breed? Not the same. Not the same at all. Now, of course, he's mentioning that boy that was in a San Francisco park and apparently had picked up something and it was fentanyl and ingested it, I guess. And he had to be rushed to the hospital and get like naloxone or what have you. So poor, terrible story about that kid. Not the same thing as a boss. Elon Musk, one of the richest men in the world, even if he's not the richest, treating his employees like crap.
So because we have other issues in the city, we're supposed to ignore your abuse of your workers.
Exactly.
Like, oh, okay, because we need to clean up our parks, I guess what you're doing is fine.
Yep,
Go ahead,
exactly.
abuse your workers. I'm telling you, I don't care how much money you're paying people.
Nope.
That is a miserable existence. And at some point, you have to enjoy what you're doing. Even if you're just working for a paycheck, even if you don't like the job, you still need a life away from it. Right? You
Yes,
still need moments of
absolutely.
life where you have these, time with your family, or even if you're single or you don't, have a lot of people and you move to a new city or whatever, you can go to a park, you can leave work behind for a few hours. You need to have those moments. You can't be stuck in an office sleeping and then working and then sleeping and then working.
No.
It's outrageous.
Exactly. I mean, I know that there's some people, and we talk about this kind of, I want to go above and beyond for my boss to make sure that they know that I'm committed to this company. That's
Yeah.
one thing. Asking your employees to sleep at work is completely different. Now, I don't have a picture. Somebody had asked for a picture about regarding these sleeping quarters. This is how they've been described per Forbes magazine. The rooms feature unmade mattresses, drab curtains, giant conference room telepresence monitors. One of the rooms has bright orange carpeting, which, okay, whatever. A wooden bedside table, a queen bed, replete with a table lamp, and 2 office armchairs. I mean, it just sounds like a motel room if I'm imagining something. I still don't want to sleep at work. If I sleep at work, I better be drunk. Like I can't drive home. I was drinking at a Christmas party. I'm going to crash on the couch in the back. I am not sleeping at work because you're working me to death. That's not happening.
I have slept at work before when I lived far away from work. So I lived in Davis, but I was working in San Francisco on the radio, and I had a shift that ended at like 11 p.m. and the next one started because I was a fill-in person and said I would do it. The next one
Wow.
started at like 6 a.m. or something. So I thought, well, I mean, I could drive home and then I just have to turn around and drive back. So if if I only have 6 hours to sleep, I might as well just roll out a blanket on the floor in a dark office and snooze for a while. So I have done it, but it was
No.
my choice.
Yeah. And I get it. And again, wait, somebody said, and this goes to you, Kim McAllister, the only thing going above and beyond gets you is more work. Yes. There was ever a true statement. Eric Kennedy has it right then and there. Oh, look, she's willing to sleep here. And then all of a sudden it's like, Kim, you can sleep here again, right? And then all of a sudden, you might as well be paying rent.
Well, the Goog, that's why they provide
the what?
Meals, the Goog, the Google.
Oh, Google. I was like,
I call it the Goog, the Goog. That's why they provide a great restaurant. Well, several restaurants all over the Google campus. They had,
They do.
Huge cafeteria, everything free. They have washer dryers. They have nap pods. They have all these things. They have chair masseuse, right? All these things that are perks. But what they really are designed, because you think when you go there, oh wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But what they're designed to do is to get you to stay there longer. So if you can do your laundry, at work,
you don't have to go home. Why would you have to go home?
You're going back to your desk and you're doing a little more coding, going to fold your clothes, going back to your desk, doing more coding. Let's wait. We'll have dinner at Google. Okay, I'll wait an extra couple hours so I get free dinner. Do an extra more couple hours of code. So it's perks, but it's also designed to keep you there, right?
You have to ask yourself, why am I getting this perk? Is this a perk for me or is it a perk for them? because all of a sudden, if I have to say, hey, I have to go home, I haven't seen my family in a while. It's not like they're housing my family.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to go home and I have a long commute. Oh, you could just sleep here. Oh, look, we have all of these restaurants. But then you realize your morning, noon, and night is this company. And for what? For what? Are they compensating you? Are they giving you something more that's going to benefit you? And again, going back to the wages, you can pay people as much as you want to, but if their life sucks and they have no life, it's only going to last for so long. People need to be more than what they do for a living. They just have to, or they're going to become miserable, absolutely miserable. Oh, let's see. This person says it's for people who live in their cars or vans. Yeah, I mean, that could happen. Several of them at Apple that my husband knows. Wow. I mean, the yoga room had said there are so many on visas and they quit if they have to leave the country, and Musk knows this. So that's a good point, yoga room. You know, when you have people under your thumb because of their situation where they don't want to rock the boat because God forbid they get kicked out of the country and they've set up a life here. I mean, he could just pull that card. And then all of a sudden they have to uproot their whole entire family. Maybe their spouse has a job that they can't move for. Maybe their family can't move. Their kids are in school. I don't know. It's a huge responsibility to own a company as large as Twitter. But you have to treat your employees properly. You just have to. Jorge Rivera writes in, that's how work culture is in Japan. Long hours, a lot of overtime. Also, when there are deadlines, people sleep in the office, especially video game developers. Now, I've watched that show on HBO, right? Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of that thing. It's that startup mentality, right? Twitter's not a startup anymore. Okay. It is a full-fledged company. They could treat its employees properly. I don't know what Elon Musk is doing. All I'm saying, to put a finer point on this, let the janitors in. Can you imagine what that place looks like? You know damn well he is not picking up the trash. Who's doing that? It's probably the grossest place. If anyone knows anybody that works at Twitter, have them friggin' send us pictures or something. Come on. I want to know what it looks like in there. I really, really do.
By the way, I think I only slept once at work because my coworker who had the shift in between, this is a weird story.
Okay.
She was into S&M. And also,
you have me intrigued.
She was also into physical alteration, like changing your appearance in a weird sexual way. And she was dating this guy who had changed his teeth to look like a vampire.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, he actually physically altered him. I don't know if you have go to a special dentist.
Yeah, you can get him filed or have something glued on, I think.
So I wake up and they're standing over me.
How did you leave this out of the original story, Kim?
Well, it wasn't about that. It was just about sleeping. But then I remembered I got to tell her about the vampire thing. So
this is the part of the story I wanted to hear. Screw all the rest of Elon Musk's story.
I'm in a little tiny closed office, like a little tiny radio studio, right?
Okay.
And I wake up and they're standing over me and they're just talking like nothing nefarious, but I was scared to death. I don't know.
No.
Like, the guy kind of freaked me out a little bit because he had vampire teeth. Something's wrong with that. I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. Not my thing. So I don't know. I just kind of shocked awake. I sat up and then I got out of there fast and I never slept at work again.
No, I would not either. Did you tell anybody, like higher ups?
No, they didn't do anything to me. They were just in my space. That's all.
Wait, okay. So you were sleeping in a room that anybody could walk into. It wasn't like your personal space.
No.
Did they know you were sleeping in there?
Yes.
And they went in there anyway?
Yes. Yeah.
You're lucky you woke up, girlfriend. I'm telling you.
Well,
I
mean, I don't think they would have.
You could have had bite marks on your neck. You don't know.
Something. I don't know, but I was like, I gotta go.
What if they wanted to do it in front of you while you were sleeping?
Ew.
Kinky people are kinky people. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of something.
Maybe
you slept through it. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, yes, that is Kim, so weird.
It is so weird. It is so weird.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't think that I don't have any cool stories like that for work. I mean, you kind of catch office romances here and there. And I had them in Sacramento, San Francisco, places like that, but nothing like people are doing kinky stuff in a room that I'm sleeping in.
I mean, it's a very small room. Like, it's really only big enough for one person.
So what the hell were they doing in there? They were doing something to you. You should get
No,
hypnotized and find out if they
I
did
think
anything
they were
to you.
just trying to freak me out because I woke up and they were laughing. And then I was like, I gotta go.
I
And they
don't know.
laughed
You
even
were too
harder.
nice. I would have cussed them out up and down. Like, what the hell are you doing in here? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I would have laughed. No matter how friendly. Were you friendly with them? Like
I mean, she was nice but odd. She used to talk to me about this is so gross, you guys. She used to talk to me about sticking needles in her boob. Like that's some part of some
like
S&M thing causing
well, like
your
acupuncture, and if
No,
it's
but it was like for a sexual pain pleasure response thing.
Yeah.
And
No.
I just like, okay. Like who would
But why
I
is
don't
she
know.
sharing that with you? I mean, were you sharing things like was this like a
No, I didn't have anything to share. I was really young
I don't know how
at
you get
the
yourself
time.
into these situations.
I
People
know.
have these conversations with me. I fully enjoy having these kind of conversations. Sure. Tell me about your nipples and the pain you love to
So like
feel.
she was nice, but she was, strange to me. I thought she was an
Yeah.
oddball.
We're going to talk about nipples later on in the show. Just to tease you guys, because apparently it's okay to show your nipples on primetime television. I didn't know when that happened. I know that like MTV and those sorts of things are one thing, but the People's Choice Awards, I would have imagined that somebody would have been in an uproar about it, but apparently being on stage with your nipples on full display is A-okay. So
No.
yeah, apparently it was. I saw it live. I read an article that said that they blurred it out. They did not blur the one that I saw out. I was watching it and my daughter's in the room. Not that I care because nipples are nipples and I have no problem with them. But I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this actress because if it was a man, it wouldn't matter, of course. And I was like, you can see her nipples. And my daughter's like, oh my God, you could totally see her nipples. And my husband's like, yay, nipples.
You
but I was like, oh, are we okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you're too vanilla for nipple stabbing.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
right. I am. It's true.
yeah. I mean, the nipples can be obviously erogenous zone for people and they
So
heighten something for them.
if
Yes,
if you
Nick,
can
you're right.
show your nipples on primetime TV, then why did Janet Jackson get in so much trouble? And where's the
Thank
FCC?
you. We're going to have that debate next hour because that's my point. It's, is it because of who it was? And Nick ruined the surprise, but it's not a surprise. Olivia Wilde. Olivia Wilde was out there, and I'll show you the picture when we talk about it. And her nipples are out. I mean, it's not, they're there. Like the dress did nothing. It was not hiding anything. No pasties, no nothing, nips. And I'm all for it. The woman's body, do whatever you want. I have no problem with it, but it seems very hypocritical that all of a sudden Olivia Wilde's cute white ass is up there with her nips hanging out. No uproar. Janet Jackson has a pasty on and she didn't even take her top off. Justin Timberlake did. Oh my God, the children, they saw nipples like it's the end of the world or something. So we'll talk about that. We'll get into the People's Choice Award. The Champion Award speech, hands down, best speech of the night. Absolutely amazing. So we'll do all that. But coming up after Kim's news, I do want to get, I was really hoping to get this political analyst on with me. So I might save the story, but we could touch on it. So in my neck of the woods here in San Jose, 2 vacant city council seats are going to be filled by the city council. It will not go to a special election. So you tell me, if something can cost, let's just average it around $6-7 million, okay, to hold 2 special elections to fill this seat. Is that a good use of taxpayer dollars? Or if there's a cheaper way of doing it, should we just let the appointments happen? So we'll touch on it, and hopefully I can get somebody on maybe tomorrow to delve a little bit into why this happens and when it is and is not okay coming up. We will also talk about housing. So there is a plan to bring God into the debate over where to put affordable housing. And we have a whole new acronym Yes, in God's backyard, Yigbies, not
What?
NIMBYs or Yimbies, but Yigbies. Yes, in God's backyard. And do you support this idea of letting God into this debate? There's also another supply shortage, once again impacting children. So we'll talk about that. And yeah, then we'll get into some celebrity news, the People's Choice Award, and all of that. The live chat is open. I'm going to give some shout outs after Kim's news. Thank you to everybody that is donating money to the show. It's the $ right under the live chat. You could throw some bucks and a super sticker or super thanks or just a comment that I will read. So we'll give some shout outs. Also click that thumbs up while we're thinking about it because it helps the show. And of course, the biggest way you can support the show is to go to the and be a monthly Patreon subscriber for any amount you can afford. We always appreciate it. And we can continue doing the show each and every day right here on YouTube. All right, let's do some news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. At least 2 classified documents found after former President Trump's legal team hired an outside group to search several of his properties for such material. That, according to multiple reports, which say the documents were in South Florida. The New York Times reporting Trump's golf club in New Jersey, Trump Tower in New York, and a storage area in Florida were searched in recent weeks. The Supreme Court's conservative majority is skeptical about state lawmakers being able to set federal voting rules on their own. A North Carolina state court struck down Republican-drawn congressional districts. North Carolina Republicans brought an appeal to the highest court, asking it to enact the independent state legislature theory, which would make it possible to deny state courts of the power to do so. Prison system failures are being blamed for the death of Whitey Bulger 4 years ago. He was found dead in a West Virginia prison October of 2018. A new report says top prison officials were unaware when it came to threats against his life. The Wisconsin nurse accused of amputating a dying man's foot is being let out of custody on a $150,000 signature bond. Mary Brown appeared in court this morning where she was released on the condition she has no contact with the victim's family or with Spring Valley Senior Living and that she doesn't work as a caregiver. Brown is charged with the physical abuse of an elder person accused of cutting off the frostbitten man's foot in Pierce County back in March. Investigators say she didn't have a doctor's order to amputate the man's foot, and she will be back in court next week. In San Francisco, officials celebrating the Transamerica Pyramid's 50th anniversary with a major renovation project. The iconic building undergoing the city's largest remodel since the pandemic started. The privately funded upgrades include new shops, restaurants, a sky bar, a fitness center, and a members-only lounge. Mayor London Breed says the revamp of the landmark will help bring visitors and boost business in the area. Construction at the Transamerica Pyramid should wrap up next December. Some parents are upset after a book by the American Girl doll maker seemingly suggests that young girls use puberty blockers to address body image issues. In one section of A Smart Girl's Guide body image book, girls are directed to transgender resources if they don't have an adult that they trust. The book says if you haven't gone through puberty yet, a doctor might offer medicine to delay your body's changes. Well, several parents have taken to Twitter blasting Mattel, which owns American Girl, for what they see as encouragement to young kids to alter their bodies. I don't think that's what American Girl was trying to say.
What do you think American Girl was trying to say?
I think American Girl was saying, here's what happens to your body. Because we have American Girl books for young girls going through changes.
I've never owned one, never bought one, so this is new to me. Go ahead.
So this must be the new version where they address trans issues as well. And what they probably were saying, if I know the type of book that was purchased, which is A Smart Girl's Guide body image book, is they were probably saying, if you feel that you're not a girl, or you feel that you're a girl but you think you're a boy, whatever, if you feel that you have questions and you don't have anyone you can trust, you should go, here's some resources for you. And one of the things they will do is stop puberty, or give you some medicine to here's some of the things that can happen, here's some possibilities. Not, hey, every girl should go do this, but here's some of the things that happen. It's just like when you talk about sex, you're not telling kids to go out and have sex. You're saying, here's how it works. Here's
But does
the
American
tools
Girl
that you
Doll
need not to get pregnant type of
But
thing.
I mean, is this a thing that American Girl Doll has done before? Like, do they talk about in these books other issues besides?
Yeah, they'll talk about weight issues. They'll talk about healthy eating. They talk about what happens to your body when you're going through puberty.
Do they talk about like drugs? Do they talk about like
I haven't read anything about
abuse?
drugs.
I mean,
No, they'll talk
I'm
about
wondering
peer
why
pressure.
did they do this? Why do they do this? Why don't they just sell the dolls is what I'm asking. Why are they doing these books?
Their books are actually, I have thought in the past, their book series is pretty good. Some people don't like the way they talk about weight, and they don't talk about that they talk about body image. I've heard some moms say they don't like the way it's discussed. But I think it's all part of educating girls. That's their whole thing. They're more than a doll company. They've always been about teaching history, putting a historical story behind dolls. And then in this case, it's just another push to another avenue to educate.
Because again, I have zero experience with American Girl dolls. All I know is they're expensive as hell. Does the book come with every doll? Is there a book with every doll? So you have to purposely buy it.
So often a book will come with a doll that discusses that doll and that doll's history. But this series where you're talking about, there's peer pressure, friendship books, how to be a good friend, how to talk to people, all kinds of social books. This is part of a series that you would have to go buy if you wanted. They don't come with a doll.
Oh, well, so then what the hell's the problem? I mean, just don't buy Andrea just took the words out of my mouth. Just don't buy the book. Oh my God. I thought it was like, here's a doll with this book. And so your kid's like, oh my God. And you have no control. Give me a friggin' break.
No,
I swear
as a
to
matter
God,
of fact,
people all outraged over nothing. Don't buy it.
The books are pretty expensive, But I guess if you're a parent that is against trans or even talking about trans or knowing about trans or any of that, then you would go, oh my God, the American Girl doll, look what you're doing,
Yeah, I just don't understand why. Yeah, okay. I mean, if you have to buy the book on your own, you're making a conscious decision to buy it. And if you buy it to be outraged about it, then you're the problem. That's it. You're the problem. Okay. All right. Thanks.
And lastly, archaeologists in Florida believe the remains of what appeared to be an old pier uncovered by Tropical Storm Nicole on Daytona Beach shores is actually a century-old ship. This week, an archaeological team determined it was a wooden-hulled ship from the 19th century. The ship would likely not survive being dug up. So after the research team documents it, they will rebury it at high tide so it can remain under the sand forever.
Pretty cool.
This news sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. Need help with your taxes? Okay, call Steve, 888-TAX-STEAL, or you can find him online at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show. I think you're muted, my friend.
I was coughing. That's why. Okay. This is hour 2 of the Nikki Medoro Show live on YouTube. Thank you all for joining us. We'll get into the nipples. Don't worry about it. We'll get into the People's Choice Award and the People's Champion and the speech that was iconic. I'm telling you, it was absolutely iconic. And I think goes down as what people should do when you make speeches, in my opinion. If you're receiving one of those big People's Choice, People's Champion awards, like, let's cool our heels a little bit and bring people back down to speed. We'll get into The Office, a very popular show, but would it be canceled in 2022? So that's all coming up probably in the next half hour or so. I do want to give a shout out to everybody in the live chat. I love all the communities that you guys are creating in there. The comments, we do read them all. Big shout out to Jim Slayton for a $4.99 super sticker. Mwah, 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 mwah. Big kisses to you. And to Kevin Hobbs. Kevin,
Hey.
$22 in the super chat. Now, of course, this is a place where you can throw some money our way. It really helps us out. But it would really help us out and not cost you any money at all if you will just subscribe and then share the show with your family and your friends, because it really helps us out, and we love each and every one of you and want to continue doing the show. Okay, so let's first off get into what happened this week within the San Jose City Council. So there were 2 vacant seats. And let me make sure I'm correct, 7 and 10. So District 7 and 10 need to be filled. Mayor-elect Matt Mahan was representing, until he's mayor, but he represents District 10. So he's going to leave to become mayor. And then, it's District 8, District 8 and 10. And then District 8 council member is leaving for the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors. So 2 empty seats, okay? Now, there's a couple of rules about how these should be filled. Mayor-elect Mahan thinks there should be a special election. San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo also thinks there should be a special election. Oh, hold on, music. Let's just rock out. Okay, so here is Mayor Sam Liccardo, outgoing Mayor Sam Liccardo. And I think this came to us through ABC 7 News, okay? Talking about, his reaction to the vote to not have a special election.
So yes, this is unprecedented. And I think it brings shame to our city.
Oh, shame to our city.
All right, let's vote.
A lot of community members packing a San Jose City Hall chamber last night. Hundreds attending in person with hundreds more online. They clashed and advocated for ways they feel the city should fill 2 council seats up for grabs after November's election. Up for debate was whether people or politicians should decide who will next represent Districts 8 and 10. A majority in attendance wanting a special election, but not everybody. The city estimates that a special election would cost up to $2.9 million per district, and some say that previous low voter turnout is proof that process would have been a waste of taxpayer money.
All right, so, and thank you to ABC 7 for that sound. They were out there. So here's how much it would cost. The city estimates a special election can cost between 1.2 and 2.9 per district. So let's go on the high end, $6 million. Okay. About $6 million. Let's go $5 million to hold these 2 special elections. Now, people in opposition of having that special election say, look, voter turnout was low. If people really cared, they could always vote more. And they think that it'd be a waste of taxpayer money. Now, at the start of that meeting, a city representative said that there's been a history of appointments and special elections. So let's see. In 1994, the council appointed representatives. Special elections decided seats in 95, the year 2000, 2005, 2006, and 2014. That's, 1 for appointments and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for special elections. You guys tell me in the chat, is it better to save money or to have a special election that may still have very low voter turnout? Because again, this is taxpayer money and it's for 2 districts. It's not even for all of the districts. On the other hand, why should politicians get to decide who they have to work with? Is that true representation for Districts 8 and 10? I'm leaning towards the special election and it's my taxpayer dollars. Mm-hmm. I just feel like if you're going to use money in any way, it should be for who represents people, right? People will spend all kinds of monies on propositions and what have you, but the person that's supposed to fight for my district, fight for my neighborhood, understand the problems that are unique to where I live, I want to say in who that person is. Because if I leave it up to the rest of the city council, maybe they're going to choose someone who will vote with them and maybe not put myself, my neighbors, and my districts ahead of that. So that would be my concern. But it's a lot of money. Up to what? $6 million for 2 special elections. Sounds like a lot of money. Andrea says, Matt Mahan is my council member. Okay, so this impacts you, Andrea. A lot of people in our district are not happy, worried about someone representing our district who we did not elect. I'm for saving money, but would like a say. Yeah, I mean, if my tax dollars are going to go to anything, I want it to go to me having a voice. And my council member is my voice. And I know Mahan ran on wanting the special election to fill his seat. Now, again, now he gets a say in who's going to fill his seat, as does the rest of the city council. Randy writes in, the council members ignored virtually every speaker at the special council meeting and voted to appoint. Yeah, it kind of sucks. It doesn't sit right with me. I'm trying to get a political analyst on tomorrow to talk kind of about the history of all of this and the politics of it all. And how can a city council sell this to people that it's not just giving them more power than they deserve? It smells fishy, in my opinion. But again, we'll continue that conversation. Also coming up in just a moment, I want to get into another issue that's very local, which is affordable housing. And there's this new acronym called YIGBS. 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 Yes, in God's backyard. And using churches for affordable housing. How do you feel about that? Because it's hard for people to afford things nowadays. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. But right now, we have to bring in a very important man himself, our friend, tax attorney, Steve Moskowitz. Steve, always love having you on the show. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Always love being here.
Now, tell me, there are issues that people need to keep in mind as we head towards the end of the year. Not just with taxes, but you can handle all of these issues, right, Steve? I doubt there is a curveball that has been thrown to you that you couldn't have an answer to. Am I right?
Let's just say that since I've had so much experience over the years, that would be highly unlikely. And it would, if it was, I would stop everything. I would call a meeting of the firm and say, hey, look, there's a brand new case we've never done before. But that's part of, why you hire us, because it's like going to your doctor. You don't want to hear your doctor say, oh, I'll go Google that. I'll look that up. I'll ask my friend. What you want him or her to say is, oh, ho hum, another one of those. I know exactly what to do. And most go this way, but if you go that way and whatever you can show me, because, another way to think of experience is that's that person making their mistakes and learning on somebody else earlier in their career.
Exactly.
And, a lot of doctors learn by killing people. Oh, so you don't cut that. Okay, well, I'll know for the future. Boy, that was exactly. That blood spurting all around.
Exactly. So, I mean, you have decades of experience, Steve. So how do you help people? I mean, what do they need to do?
All kinds of ways, because, a lot of times with small businesses, they have a lot of needs, but they can't afford to have a full-time person doing it. And there's different talents. So in a big company, you'd have multiple people that were filling these roles. And a small business can't afford to have one full-time, much less multiple people. So what we do is we have different services like accounting services, tax planning, tax returns, estate planning, HR planning. A lot of times people will have HR problems, but they're small businesses. They certainly can't hire an HR person. Well, we have HR people for you. So basically now we provide all these services, but just the amount you need. Basically, it's a part-time controller, a part-time HMO. We come in, we do the job, and then you only pay a small fee, but you have all the expertise because you don't need somebody there full time. So there's so much we can do for so many people. And we like saving them money and having all the benefits of the big companies. And that's how we can deliver it.
I love that you mentioned that, because I feel like some people may listen to you, Steve. They see in your fancy suit. They think, I'm not a rich person. I can't afford someone like Steve Moskowitz, but you can. So give them a call, because they have all of these different services that can apply to you and your situation. So his number is very simple to remember, 888 tax deal, or find him online at moskowitzllp.com. That's moskowitzllp.com. Thanks, Steve.
Your viewers should just to hear you sing.
I think so. I think I got him with that jingle. Thanks so much, Steve. We'll talk again soon.
Take care, guys.
Bye. Yeah. So, give Steve a call. AAA tax deal. MoskowitzLLP.com. He's going to help you out. I mean, I love the fact that he breaks up all of those services that his company can do for you.
And who
HR.
knew? Like,
I didn't know that.
think a tax
Yeah.
attorney, I go when I need taxes, but it's so much
Right.
more than that.
Absolutely more than that. So give him a call because he could probably help you. And who doesn't want to save a ton of money, especially nowadays? I mean, everybody wants to save money. I don't think anybody ever says, I want to waste all my money.
I don't know if you've heard this, but I went to the dentist the other day and
Okay.
I have Delta dental insurance. And
Okay.
apparently, I guess whatever's happening with Delta, a lot of dentists are stopping they don't want to take it anymore.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so she said, listen, we're still going to take Delta dental insurance, but just so you know, instead of billing the company, we're going to, you're going to have to pay the bill. And then you can, then you can, request reimbursement from Delta dental.
What?
I'm like, I said,
No.
well, what insurances do you take then?
Right.
And she said, well, this is a good one and this is a good one. So she told me the good dental insurances to get.
Yeah.
So I go back to my husband and say, hey, listen, you might want to tell your company that Delta Dental, not a lot of people are taking that anymore. And here's the good
Right.
ones. So he goes to his boss and he says, just so you know, this is what my wife was told at the dentist office. And he said, well, Delta's the cheapest one. We get the best deal on that. So here's why I'm doing it. But it sounds like you can go through Steve Moskowitz's office and they'll actually offer you some type of insurance, like health insurance, dental insurance, all kinds of other insurances. Because when you do it as a bigger group, like a bigger company, and when the smaller companies band together, then you get a better deal for larger insurance companies. So so that's something I'm going to have them look into, because if what Steve is offering is better, and makes me not have to bill my own insurance company, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and honestly, Nick's taking the words right out of my mouth again. Insurance, such a scam. We should have single payer. I always say this, and I will always say this. Whenever things are complicated and they make it complicated for you, they're trying to screw you. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
If they wanted to make it easy, they could. They make it complicated so you don't get everything that you're owed, or you have to pay more, or fill in the blank. So that's it in a nutshell. Insurance sucks, but give Steve a call. He could probably help you out with all sorts of problems. Okay, so I'm loving the new acronym, YIGBY. Yes, in God's backyard. Okay, so Senator Scott Wiener has reintroduced a proposal that would make it easier. Now, this is in San Francisco. He's a San Francisco Democrat, state senator. He would make it easier for houses of worship to build affordable housing on their lots. So this would apply to churches, synagogues, mosques, and it would allow them to build it by right, even if local zoning prohibits it.
Wait,
how do you feel about
build housing for homeless people?
Yes. It would also be allowed at nonprofit colleges. It would only apply for developments that are 100% affordable for low-income residents, and the housing must remain affordable for 55 years. 55 years if it's a rental property, and 45 years for properties that can be owned.
Well, what if you've got a church in a neighborhood with a school nearby? Then I don't know.
What would be wrong with having a school nearby affordable housing?
Oh, affordable housing. But if you're building like a homeless shelter where crime happens.
This is affordable housing. So this is
Okay.
rental. This is 100% affordable for low income residents, which I would assume. I mean, it's not a shelter, it's housing. It's housing for people. So according to State Senator Scott Wiener, he says houses of worship have long partnered with nonprofit housing developers to build affordable housing. The zoning and approval process, though, can be difficult and expensive. So you can't look at a church and say you're not zoned for housing because they're a church or a synagogue or a nonprofit college. They get it by right. And they could say, nope, we're building the housing and you can't stop us. What do you think about that?
I guess I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I kind of agree with Natalie. Are you building low-income housing that you only want to give to people who practice your religion? She writes, the problem is, how are you going to enforce non-discrimination laws against religious institutions?
Oh, I'm wondering. I mean, and then, yeah, that's a very good question. I would assume the same housing discrimination laws would apply. That's what I would imagine. I would say, and again, devil's in the details, even in God's work. I would want to read that would be guaranteed, but I can't imagine that they would allow any sort of discrimination. Nick writes in, people will cry that they're letting homeless, drug-addicted pedophiles congregate near schools.
Well, and that was my first but it's not homeless shelters. It's not like, you're allowing an encampment or something. It's affordable housing. That's different.
And remember, just because somebody's homeless doesn't make them a pedophile or a drug addicted.
True. Absolutely
true.
True.
And again, I don't think, let's say something like the Catholic Church should be screaming too loudly about pedophiles and should probably just build the house.
True that.
But yeah, I think any place where we can cut through the red tape, that's why I like this. That hands down is why I like it. And what institution is better to lead the way on this and to show that it can work and can be affordable and to keep it affordable than places of worship? I mean, name me a religion, and I'm sure there may be one, but I don't know, but a major religion that doesn't, dedicate themselves to helping the poor and the needy and things like that. I mean, it's kind of built into the whole thing. So if you are going to support, and be a religion like that, then you should support those that are down on their luck and need a roof over their heads. My other concern is, what's it going to look like? What is this housing going to look like? What kind of oversight are they going to have? Are churches then just going to become mini neighborhoods? I can't really picture how they would build it. I'd want to see some, models or something about how it would look. But yeah, definitely I'd be a Yigby. Yes, in God's backyard. Natalie writes in, the culty church I was raised in out of state has old dorm rooms that they now rent out to the public as apartments. They have all sorts of rules about no alcohol or visitors of the opposite sex. That seems odd. I mean, the first state that I was thinking of was Utah, but I could be wrong. I'm not saying it is Utah. I mean, I just can't see how that's allowed. If you're going to be in housing, you need to follow the rules regarding no discrimination in housing, or then you're just part of a cult. And then you're just part of a cult that lets you live at the church, I would imagine. I mean, do you have to be part of the religion to get the affordable housing at the church? That's an even better question.
Yeah.
It's like, what if I don't want to be religious, but thank you for the affordable housing? Oh, it was Louisiana. Oh, all right. Yeah.
But that's interesting that they could set rules like that about no drinking. Well, what if drinking is legal? No drugs is obvious. No visitors of the opposite sex. Okay.
Yeah. Then that's not affordable housing. I mean, then that's
housing. That's you live our way. Yeah.
That's a shelter then. I would say that that's more in line with what your concern was, that it was going to be a homeless shelter, because shelters have rules because people are in and out all the time. But if I'm renting something or buying something, because I mentioned apparently you can own some of these properties under this bill, it's mine or I'm renting it. So rental laws, I would imagine, and again, I can't speak for Senator Scott Wiener or this bill, but I would imagine would have to be enforced.
You should be able to live how you want to live. If you are renting or purchasing a place, if you're paying money to live there, however much it is, whether it's affordable or extravagant, you should be able to live the life you want to live there, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, right?
Absolutely. All right. There's a housing shortage. There's also another shortage. I thought I was going crazy. Okay, so you guys know I had that cough last week, right? And this cold was going through my house. And my son, knock on wood, he rarely gets sick. But so when he is sick, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm always usually stocked up on children's cold medication. But I went to Rite Aid because I was out and I saw something like this. I was like, what the hell? Where is all the children's cold medication? Well, there's a shortage again. So apparently there is a shortage of over-the-counter children's Tylenol and pediatric formulations of ibuprofen and cold medicines. Now, my son is 11, so he can't take like the adults. That usually starts at 12. And so I don't want to just give him a smaller dose. That's not right. So I've been like, out. I was like, you're going to have to drink some water and go rest. But I couldn't find some children's medicine. They did have some of the off-brand stuff, but it's hard to find. But they're saying the shortage of these medications come amid the so-called triple-demic of RSV, COVID, and the flu. And because of that, people are either hoarding or stocking up. I'll tell you, if my kid has a cold, the size of the bottles is not enough. It's not like, with adult medication, you get the gigantic bottles. I always feel like, maybe at Costco, which I don't go to, the bottles are small. If you're, doling it out for a week, if you have a cold, it goes through. You go through the bottle with that cold, so you don't have any more.
You're going to go through 2 or 3.
Yeah. So it's like there's not enough. And so I don't want to say people are hoarding it, but you need more than one bottle in many cases just to get over whatever cold you have. I'm concerned a little bit about it, but hopefully there was one person, and again, this is a kind of a conspiracy theory about it, is that the government's behind the shortage so that everybody gets their vaccines, either the COVID or the flu vaccine. I'm not going that far, but what I am saying is we talked about germs and how everybody is back out there licking and touching everything. And so people are going to get sick. And when people get sick, they need medicine. And so that makes more sense to me than the government's behind it. But hopefully they start ramping up production because the cold season and the flu season is still well underway. I have one more shortage story before we get to Kim's news. There's also a diabetes drug shortage. And the reason behind it isn't because necessarily more people have diabetes. Apparently, 2 types of drugs that are used to treat type 2 diabetes also lets people lose weight. So people are taking this medication to shed those pounds pretty quickly. So apparently this medicine lowers your sugar, but then apparently it also makes you excrete a hormone that makes your body feel full. So then you eat less. So then you lose weight.
I wonder if that's like putting yourself into ketoacidosis or whatever.
I don't know, but okay, our dorm room father, Elon Musk, actually tweeted it out. So this is what he tweeted. I'm going to share my screen with you real quickly, and which is dangerous because, again, he has a platform and shouldn't be doing these sorts of things. But this is what he wrote. He wrote, I don't know if you can really see that, but it says fasting plus Ozempic and Wegovy, which are the drugs, plus no tasty food near me, down 30 pounds. So he's even been trying it. So when someone like Elon Musk is sharing the fact that he's taking this drug and he's losing weight, what do you think's going to happen when people read something like that? I'm like, I could lose a few pounds, but these poor people that have type 2 diabetes can't get their drug. So don't do that. And it's not cheap either. Apparently a month's supply of one drug costs $1,200 out of pocket, but that Ozempic costs about $875, which is still really expensive. So keep that in mind. Talk to your doctor. And if you want to lose a few pounds, work out, walk. Don't take somebody's type 2 diabetes medication because that's awful. Okay, we're going to get into the People's Choice Awards. We'll talk nipples next. But first, we have to do some news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is, of course, sponsored by the amazing tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. President Biden is reportedly committed to banning assault weapons in the United States. Speaking to reporters, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said the president wants lawmakers to pass stricter gun control measures. The president will be joining survivors and families who lost loved ones to gun violence at a church in Washington, D.C. tonight. Major cigarette companies are being ordered now to display health warning signs at retail locations. The Justice Department announcing the order will go into effect July 1st. The signs will be designed to be eye-catching and they'll feature health warnings. Fully encrypted backups of things like pictures and chat histories will soon be available to Apple users. The tech giant says such backups will be on its cloud storage system. The goal is to keep them away from various entities and bad actors, including hackers. China is starting to relax its harsh COVID restrictions. The Chinese government saying today people will no longer need to show negative test results in order to travel to different parts of the country or to enter most public venues. The rare public protests erupted in Beijing and other major cities recently over the strict zero COVID policies put into place by Chinese authorities. Elon Musk's animal testing at Neuralink is now the target of PETA. The organization wants the testing shut down, claiming Neuralink and the University of California, Davis are responsible for the deaths of at least 15 monkeys because of Musk's goal to stick a chip in a human's brain. PETA also says this kind of experimentation dates back at least 2 decades at other companies, but in recent years, Neuralink has been seeing a number of deaths themselves. Officials are calling on Twitter users to flood the app with protest tweets by tagging Musk and his company, officials at PETA, I should say. And SpaceX is preparing for a launch on Florida's Space Coast later today. A Falcon 9 rocket will carry a batch of 40 internet satellites for the company OneWeb in an effort to provide broadband services across the globe. There is a new trailer out today for HBO's documentary on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. It's called Pelosi in the House, and it will highlight the life and the career of the outgoing speaker. It's directed by her daughter, Alexandra Pelosi, and it follows Nancy Pelosi through different career milestones leading up to President Biden's inauguration. Pelosi in the House premieres December 13th on both HBO and HBO Max. That should be interesting. And it is that time of year to see these stories come through, that massive amounts of fresh snowfall is in the forecast for the Sierra. 2 more storms are on the way. Forecasters at the UC Berkeley Central Snow Lab say the first storm is moving through Thursday night with snowfall amounts between 8 and 16 inches. A second and much larger storm is expected to dump another 4 to 5 feet of snow Saturday and Sunday. The news sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for people and businesses. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call. It's 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can catch him online at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
All right, let's get into it. We'll get to the People's Choice Award and those nipples in just a moment, but I am actually pretty happy with this choice right here. Naming Zelensky Person of the Year by Time Magazine. I thought that was a good choice. I was afraid it was going to be Elon Musk. I really did. I was thinking that he was going to be, just because Elon Musk has been in the news so much, but I think what Zelensky has done this year, but since February, right? That's when it started. I believe it was February that this war has been going on, has been just hands down amazing. So I just wanted to mention it because I think that was actually a very good choice by Time Magazine. Now, the People's Choice Award was on yesterday. I'm not one for award shows. I've said that before. I find them to be kind of boring. I don't care for speeches that much. I wish people would just be like, thanks, or entertain me. Like, you're in the entertainment business. Do something besides laundry list a bunch of names that I don't know because you feel like they're going to be excited that they say their name out loud. But the People's Choice Award was on, and I want to play you a little bit from the People's Champion speech. This woman right here received the award. Her mother gave it to her. Here's her mom. And do you know who it is, Kim McAllister?
No.
So you can't tell from that mom's face who the People's Champion is?
She's familiar, but I don't know.
It was the one and only Lizzo. So Lizzo was awarded the People's Champion Award by her mother, which was really awesome. Okay. So I'm going to play you a little bit of her speech. Obviously, I can only play the sound because YouTube likes it that way. But listen to what she says. And I just honestly, I love Lizzo more and more each day. Here she is.
My mama, y'all. Okay. So I'm going to be honest. When I first heard about this award, I was on the fence about whether I should accept, because if I'm the people's champ, I don't need a trophy for championing people. You know what I'm saying? I'm here tonight because to be an icon isn't about how long you've had your platform. Being an icon is what you do with that platform. And And ever since the beginning of my career, I've used my platform to amplify marginalized voices. So tonight, I am sharing this honor. Make some noise for the people, y'all. These are all activists.
And so she brings in all these people.
Make some noise for them right now. Yes, thank you.
And so, I mean, I could have played her 6-minute long speech. Okay, so there's Little Miss Flint, Mari Cooper, right there. She's the short girl next to the woman in the green dress to the left of her. She was the one that was trying to get clean water to Michigan. To Flint, Michigan, because of it. I mean, we had people that represent Native Americans. We have this one woman that I follow on social media. I'm not going to butcher their names. Did I have their list? I thought I printed out the list with all the names. I didn't. I apologize. Because Lizzo knocked it out of the ballpark, because a lot of these are maybe not traditional names, but she was excellent at it. But we had people that represented marginalized communities. This one woman, where is she? She's in the back. She goes to like homeless encampments and gives out sleeping bags and food. And she has I think it's either TikTok or Instagram, probably all of them. And she films it. And the way she talks to these people, like they're human beings, she gives them snacks, she gives them anything that they need. And she organizes it each and every day to help all of these homeless people. We had someone that lost someone in Uvalde. We had, I think, a relative of Breonna Taylor. I mean, it was 17 people that she mentioned in her speech. And that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Because I think and that's why I played the beginning of her speech. She knows, she's like, look, you guys like me. I have a platform. I'm very talented, but I want to elevate other people's voices. And she did it. It was an awesome speech. Google it, watch it on YouTube. It's about 7 minutes long, and it's worth it to these nonprofits and these organizations that these women work with is just amazing. And Lizzo really did these women quite the service by doing it. And I love her even more for it.
Impressive. It's impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great idea.
Yeah. So human rights activists, freedom fighters, artists, walking inspirations. And then that's how she identified them all. People that deal with gun violence. I mean, it was quite the list.
It's the opposite of what you hear, how, I'll use the name Trump. How someone puts the spotlight and basks in the spotlight. She has the spotlight shined on her, and she steps away and shines it at other people she thinks need to be recognized. And
exactly.
I mean, what a person, honestly.
Exactly. And then there's people that just get the spotlight because of what they're wearing. Now, I'm going to show you a picture. I don't think it's going to get flagged because of, I want to say the flash, but when you saw it live on television, just look.
Oh, that's a see-through garment.
That is a see-through garment. And there are her nipples. Now, this is not a bad picture. This is Olivia Wilde. She was the director of Don't Worry, Darling, that Harry Styles, Florence Pugh movie, which I saw, which was okay. But she won. And she goes out there in this dress. Now, you could see her nipples in this picture. I mean, if you look, you could see them. They were even more on display.
But they're not naked nipples.
They are totally naked nipples.
No,
I mean,
they have something between you and them. They're not naked nipples.
Okay, then tell me what's the difference between this and Janet Jackson having a literal pasty over her nipple, and why was there so much outrage about that?
Right. I mean, I guess one could argue that you really saw Janet Jackson's whole boob.
I mean, is it because also, now again, I'm part of the itty bitty titty committee, but is it also because she doesn't really have that big of breasts? If it was like gigantic boobs, would it matter? Does it matter that it's Olivia Wilde and not Janet Jackson? I mean, we could bring race into it. I don't know how much. I mean, it does seem that there was a very little reaction to Olivia Wilde's nipples, given the fact that I thought as a country, we needed to save the children from the nipple, right? I mean, I thought that the female nipple was just going to lead our children down a path of debauchery and sin. I mean, I thought that was the outrage
God
about
forbid
the nipple.
We see the nipple. Oh,
God forbid. I mean, You know me. And I know somebody was calling me out, and I know we get into these discussions, but I don't see anything wrong with the female body in comparison to the male body. I don't understand, and I will never understand. I don't care how much you guys debate me on it. I will never understand why we, as a society, accept the discrimination between women's breasts and men's breasts. I just don't support that idea. If you feel comfortable freeing your nipples like men free their nipples, you should go ahead and do it.
Well, because of the way we think about nipples, because they're like, ooh, you're showing your nipples. So now the dresses and see-through garments are used to make a big splash at these award shows. And so women will come wearing these dresses that are completely see-through. Olivia Wilde's not the first one to do it, but she might be the first one to be shown on camera during the awards ceremony with her, nipples on display.
Exactly. And I'm trying to find some more pictures to kind of, I'm telling you, when it was on, this isn't actually her first time. She did, oh my God. So she went to a gala, so it's not exactly the same thing. She likes to show her nipples. So let's see. You guys want to see more of Olivia Wilde's nipples?
She kind of has a perfect body for it. I mean, she's very,
Why?
small.
Because that proves my point about, the itty bitties, right? It's like, oh, it's not offensive because they're not so in your face. If they were in her face or in our face, would there have been more of an outcry? So here she is at the at some sort of gala for the Academy Awards. So I guess this was like a party. Oh, I didn't save it in the right spot. But anyways, she's wearing like this silver gown, and apparently nobody had any problem with her doing this. So here, Olivia, I'm going to show it to you because you guys want to see more nipples. There we go.
Yes, we all want to see more nipples.
Well, no, but she seems to have kind of a habit about doing this, right? I mean, if you're going to show off your nipples all this time, then here we go. Here we go. All right, you guys ready? More nipples. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yes, but you can only see the shape, really.
What about what else is a nipple but a shape?
There's still fabric between me and her. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a bare nipple.
I mean, it's not like her boobs are. Is that what you're telling me? That unless a woman's entire breast, no clothing over it, it's okay? I mean,
well, that's the rule, right? Is that the broadcast rule? Like, must have fabric over breast or whatever?
Yeah, nipples should not be a big deal, Nick. I'm really telling you. I don't know. I'm happy about it. I'm not knocking Olivia Wilde. Show your nips, chick. Like, do it. I'm fine with it.
It leaves nothing to the imagination, though.
Yeah, but I mean, what are we imagining? Nipples? I find if we're going to talk about like sexy, right? If we're going to sexualize the breast, I would not say that the nipple is the part that's the sexiest. I would say like the curve, the cleavage. That's what I feel is sexy. And no one has a problem with a ton of cleavage, which is the sexy part. Once the nipple's out, I mean, what's the big deal? It's a nipple. It boggles my mind, is all I'm saying. Nick says, was it Gene Burns who said we cover up the parts that dangle? So if your boobs don't dangle, you can just show them off? Is that
all the dangly parts? By the way, it was Gene's birthday a couple days ago, so happy birthday in heaven to Gene Burns.
Yes, to Gene Burns. Oh yeah. I don't know. I feel like what's interesting is somebody just wrote this, and this is going to take me into my next story. Oh, here we go. Lori writes in, no one would care about Janet's nip slip today, which is interesting. Like what we choose to be outraged about, right? Oh my God, that person has to be canceled. Janet Jackson was canceled for a while, right? I mean, Justin, who actually released her breast, nothing. Janet vilified.
Well, you couldn't even see her nipple.
I mean, it was pasty on.
It wasn't a metal lock on it or something, some type of metal piece, right?
She had I think her nipple was pierced and she had a pasty on. From what I remember, I feel like I saw it a lot. It's one of those things where it's like, what did that nipple look like? I have no idea. But do you think that what is canceled today is way different than it was, let's say, during Janet Jackson's whole thing? Because if what that viewer was saying, that it wouldn't be a big deal, what do we decide are big deals? obviously, if, obvious sexual harassment, those sorts of things get you in trouble. But look at jokes. I mean, we talk about Dave Chappelle and comedians all the time, and what jokes are okay and what jokes aren't okay. And the reason I bring this part up is because Mindy Kaling, who I adore. Were you an The Office watcher, Kim? Did you like that
but
show?
Julia has been watching that show.
Oh, that is so funny.
Is that okay for a 13-year-old? Are we thinking that's all right?
Oh, don't ask me. You know me. We have different parenting styles. Yes,
I
say yes. So I would watch it with her. I loved The Office, but Mindy Kaling, who was a star on it, you know Mindy Kaling. That's her and BJ Novak. They were both on the show. They both wrote episodes for the show as well. Well, she was on with Good Morning America this week. And listen to what she had to say. And it's funny that you mentioned Julia, because Mindy also touches on who watches it in The Office in reruns, because it's so very popular. Oh, where did she go? So here is Mindy Kaling on GMA talking about The Office.
I can't believe it's been almost 10 years since The Office has gone off the air. What do you think your character Kelly would be up to now, 10 years later?
I think she probably would have quit Dunder Mifflin to be an influencer. And then probably been canceled almost immediately. So that's what I would see for her.
That's pretty accurate, I think. Yeah.
Actually, most of the characters in that show probably would be canceled.
One of the great things about The Office, by the way, a whole new generation of fans are getting into it now. We were just talking about your kids a moment ago. At what point do you introduce them to the series? Still a little young, right?
I kind of think maybe never. That show is so inappropriate now. I mean, we always talk about the writers who I'm still in touch with now. We talk about how so much of that show we probably couldn't make now. Tastes have changed, and honestly what offends people has changed so much now. And so I think that actually it's one of the reasons why the show is popular, because people feel like there's something kind of fearless about it or taboo that it talks about on the show. So I mean, I think when they're teenagers, they'll probably want to. It seems like a 15-year-old boy is the
right.
fan of The Office right now.
That's I had a 15-year-old girl who spent all of COVID watching The Office again and again and again and again.
I'm sure that was great for you.
That's right. Yeah. It made me feel like a real failed parent right now.
So there you go. So 15, I guess, boys love The Office. I watched it. I've watched The Office. My daughter's watched it. I find it funny, but she's right. Some of the jokes, Steve Carell's character, highly inappropriate. There's, straight up racist comedy in it. There's racist comedy in it.
I felt that way about Glee too.
I never watched Glee.
There were some episodes I wouldn't let Julia watch because I thought, oh God, that's really mean-spirited. Like that crosses a line, right?
Wait, mean-spirited or like racist, homophobic, that sort of thing?
All of the above.
Or just mean?
Jokes made, but the jokes were made to highlight things, so they were made for good reasons, but at the time when you hear the joke, it's like, oh Lord, like homophobic jokes, racist jokes, no holds barred. Absolutely.
Yeah, The Office can be very, offensive, but in a funny way. And you have to know it watching going in that it's like that. But like Steve Carell's character, the most, I would say, offensive character on the whole entire show. And he was actually interviewed about this in 2018 about whether there would ever be an Office reboot. And he said, no, the show is way more popular now than it was when we were on air. I just can't see it being the same thing. And I think most folks would want it to be the same thing, but it wouldn't be. Ultimately, I think it's best to just leave well enough alone. Then he said, you'd literally have to have all the same writers, the same producers, the same directors, the same actors. And even with all of those components, it just wouldn't be the same. And I think that's absolutely true.
Because we have changed. They have changed and we have changed. Yes.
Exactly. That's an excellent point. That's exactly it. We watch something like The Office. I've watched Schitt's Creek, I don't know how many times. That was what I watched during COVID over and over again. I wouldn't say that it's offensive, but there's jokes that maybe in 10 years wouldn't fly anymore. Or maybe they would. Maybe it'd be tame. I have no idea. But when you talk about something as iconic as The Office, even look at Friends, which I would think is the most milquetoast comedy series out there, sitcom out there. They've come out in recent months and apologized because of the lack of diversity on the show. Well, you even make a Friends nowadays without any sort of diversity or something like that. And And it's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't know if it would be able to survive, as they say.
So I have time to tell you a quick mom story.
Yes, please. Let's end on a mom story.
Today is the cast party for the play that my daughter was in, Mary Poppins.
Okay.
And I got roped into helping host the cast party.
I'm shocked. This is my shocked face that you got roped into doing something.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm thinking, what's cute Mary Poppins things can we do? And I find this. This is a Mary Poppins Jell-O cloud. Easy to make, right?
Yeah.
You get a little blue Jell-O, you get a little whipped cream. That's Mary Poppinsy. I can do that.
Okay.
So I task my husband with going to buy the little cups for the Jell-O things, Jell-O clouds. He comes home
with Jell-O shots, cups.
Plastic shot glasses. So this morning I made blue Jell-O shots for children. I'm going to go to the cast party with blue Jell-O shots. I mean,
you're going to teach them how to take it?
But David goes, why are you making the kids Jell-O shots? I'm like, listen, it was supposed to be the Jell-O cloud.
Well, are you going to do the umbrella and the everything like that?
I couldn't find black umbrellas. I could only find tropical umbrellas. Yeah.
Oh,
so I'll have a little whipped cream on it.
Oh, you have to take a video and share it with us tomorrow, please. I just want to see a bunch of kids take Jell-O shots, even if there's no alcohol in them. I want to see. Don't tell them how to take it. Don't tell them how to do it, because you're supposed to like loosen it up, right?
Oh my God!
Because there's the amateur way of like trying to just suck it out whole, and that's never going to work. So my best friend is the queen of making Jell-O shots. Like she'll make layered shots, so it's like a flavor. So she'll make like a Mai Tai Jell-O shot. So it'll be all these different flavors she goes all out, and she'll bring coolers. This is back in the day, back when we could take Jell-O shots.
Friends with that
lady. Yeah. Oh, my friend April, she's hands down best Jell-O shot maker. And all I have to do is find like some sort of unique beverage. And if they've made it into some sort of Jell-O shot, done. She takes it like as a challenge or something, but yeah, she's amazing at making them. But take video, please, or at least a picture. You have to. You can blur out the kids' faces, but I want to see how they take it.
Kim says, yeah, I need the tropical umbrellas are better than nothing. Maybe I need to, after the show, run out and get some of those little umbrellas.
I don't know how much time you have, but you could just spray paint black on the umbrellas, can't you?
Like I don't think I have enough time. Like there's not enough time between now and that might be a little
party.
Messy. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, definitely
5 people. I got to figure it out.
Figure it out, because otherwise the kids are going to be like, what does this have to do with, are you going to do the whipped cream on top?
Yeah. The little whipped cream on top.
Well, the shots that have whipped cream in a shot glass, that is not an appropriate shot.
Do you think I should just scrap it and just eat it myself?
All right, let's ask the chat room. Should she? I say yes, just because I'm selfish and I want you to talk about it tomorrow. And I would love it. I would be the parent that would absolutely hands down have zero problem with you, even if I didn't understand it at all.
I'll have a little sign. It'll say Mary Poppins Jell-O clouds.
Could you maybe, do you have like a stand? Like a cupcake stand?
Yeah.
And maybe you could get like some, I'm just trying to think of like things that you could do quick, like maybe some cotton around it so it looks like the cloud, and then
that's not a bad
way.
Idea.
You know what I mean?
Like I made 80 of them. So
then damn, you should get. What are you going to do with them if you don't eat them all? Like,
eat them and chuck them. Well, there's not. It's like 2 bites per cup. It's not very much.
Oh, please take video. I can't wait to see how 13-year-olds take Jell-O shots. I would love it.
This play had from 6 years old to 18. So there's going to be high schoolers like looking at me.
Oh, the high schoolers will be showing the young kids. They're like, see, what you do, child, is you loosen it up on the side and then you just kind of shoot it in your mouth. There you go. Education happening. Getting a life lesson right there. Okay. Do it. Everyone's saying do it. You have to do it. Please, 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 please do it. All right. That's our show. Tomorrow, I have no idea what's coming up, but it's going to be a damn good thing. I'll tease it later. Go to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Share it with your friends. Before we end the show, please make sure that you have clicked that thumbs up. Say goodbye, Nugget. That's Nugget saying goodbye.
Hi, Nugget.
Also, go on to our website, thenikkimedoroshow.com. And if you can, please join our Patreon community. Become a monthly subscriber. You choose the amount. There is no set amount. And it keeps us in money and keeps the show going, because that's what we need to keep doing it. Put a black umbrella over the plate of shots. That's a good one, Lori.
Okay.
We're going to end it on a good note from Lori, but do it. Everybody says do it, do it, do it, do it. So again, tomorrow's going to be a great Thursday show. Kim will be here. We'll all be here. And I appreciate all of you. Till tomorrow. We want Jacob.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're all so the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.